The one thing that was missing, there was some kind of a secure key to let everybody into that back office. And what we did is we distributed to everybody a smart identity card, and that's a key to open a door, to say who you are, to prove who you are, and then you get in. And if you think about it, whatever you do, whether you're online, for sure, if you're online, you always start with identification. So this is a key element in the puzzle of the back office. And it's actually a very useful tool because it leaves a trace with everything that happens. So misuse is almost excluded thanks to this little card. So once we have that in place, we should invest in a new clicker. Yeah, just to show you that we have 3 variants. It's mandatory in Belgium, so you have the first card, which is the mandatory card. There's another one for kids, and the third one for foreign residents. And with that, you have the whole community in Belgium. Okay. We also made a mobile version of it. Really happy. Could you click it? So I'll ask my assistant to take over. So we made a mobile version of it because now everybody has a mobile phone. So you need to adapt and follow the technology. We did that with a partnership with a company called Kidspeed. Now, once you have that, you still have to manage your data and secure your data. So nowadays, with the volume of data that is hitting us, we focus quite a lot on that. And if you want to make sure that you have a secure system, you must focus on 3 modern databases to make your society work. The database of your citizens, the database of your enterprises, and the databases of who owns which land. And again, if you think about it, whatever you do, you always have either something to do with a person, something with a company, or something with a piece of land, or a combination of it. So, yes, please go on. Let's put the whole list. What you need to do nowadays, for me, is actually make sure that your society works, that everything is in place to work, that the economy runs, but the government needs to more turn into a supporting role and offer services and tools so that society can function. Yeah. You need to do a lot of education, communication, and dissemination because new technologies, you need to explain that. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that, as it says down there, you need to make sure that you make life easy for everybody. So, if you look more at the future, we need to adapt constantly. For us, the decision was that we had to go much more towards a citizen-centric approach. Do everything to make life of that citizen efficient. It's what we call the quadruple helix, and everything that is around it is with one objective, which is to make the citizen more efficient. And following that, we decided that we had to scale up and to make everything much more human-centric. And the design of everything we did had to be much more human-centric. So with that, well, the consequence is that you need to work together with them, co-create together. You need to create services together by listening to your end users, get them at the same table, around the same table, and together build a service. That also means that your organization needs to be adapted. It needs to be human-centered, organized, with a focus on innovation and operations. And again, focusing on the real needs of your citizens. You can click further if you want. One more. Okay. That brings us to a new kind of offering of services. First of all, we do a lot of offerings in helping ministries design or redesign their services. We do a lot of experimentation. We have, of course, a set of solutions. And above all, we also take care of maintaining our communities. Because as you co-create, you have different communities. You need to keep the heat under the kettle, as we say. So you need to keep them busy because that's where you get your innovation. On the design side, I'm just going to pinpoint a few things that may be of interest. Go back. Digital playbook. The digital playbook is actually just a set of tools that you can run through by yourself that gives you, in a very easy way, explanations on how to exploit new technologies, how to convert your service in more user-centric design. And that reflex of every time thinking about digital inclusion, that's a tough one to realize. Make sure that every time you think about a service, that you also think about people that maybe are not so qualified in technology, people who are maybe too old and are afraid of technology, and so on. So you need to have that reflex to keep them on board. On the experimentation side, well, of course, you experiment, but getting the best out of experimentation is to be able to have lots of data on the results of these experiments. So we did a lot of user feedback, and with that data, you do again the process until you are happy with the system. Yeah. Let's go another one, please. Yes, one more. So on the solution side, there's one thing I would like to show you, and actually it's an announcement of something we will launch in the coming months. You may remember that, you may know that 300-400 years ago, there was something like a public writer. And that was the most clever guy in the village who could read and write, and who was helping every citizen to respond to whatever official letters. Well, we are now recreating the same thing, but on the digital side. So we're going to launch the digital companion, which are people who are relatively at ease with technology, and who will be there to assist any citizen to interact digitally with government. And then there is these communities. The communities, as I said, you need to maintain that. So we organize lots of talks during lunch or evening. We bring them together. We do brainstormings together, and we see that generates quite a lot of input for a public sector. One more other thing is, we in Belgium are very sensitive to privacy. So people want to know what public sector is doing with their data. And so we launched a thing which is a website, which is called mydata.belgium.be, where we just list which ministry is keeping which kind of data and for which purpose. We play open book so that people know, and when people know, that they are more tempted to trust the service. We also have a little idea to make a website where we will explain all the algorithms that we use. It's a bit more political, so we are not really there yet, but we are preparing them so that they accept to declare and openly tell them, okay, what am I measuring, how am I measuring it, and what. So, to conclude, I just want to finish with a few little examples of things. Here this week, I've seen quite a lot of young people doing technology. Well, we have created a skills fund, which is budget that people can apply for, focusing on those, these youngers who are hanging out in the streets, who have no jobs, who are sometimes tempted by drugs. So we want to take them out of the streets and give them some kind of a fun way to learn about technology, and then hopefully push them into the working force market. We do the same for women in digital. There's been a big debate here on women in digital. We also struggle not only with hiring ICT people, but we absolutely want to have a clear balance between men and women. It's a real challenge in Belgium. All the little initiatives that we have from NGOs who are doing really good jobs, we have tried to concentrate them physically into one building and together have more power to communicate, and that really works well. We've done a lot around artificial intelligence. I'm not going to go deeper into that. We created an e-box, which is like a letterbox, a digital letterbox for communication between citizen and government. And it's an opt-in, so the citizen can decide, okay, from now on, if you want to send me something from I accept that you put it in my ebooks, completely for free, of course. On the procurement side, for industry sector, we have now decided that all those who do some commercial act with government must go through an e-procurement, and we will do e-invoicing, so everything will be digital. And we try to push it in the near future to what we call the real-time economy, where everything will be digitally in a food circle. Another website is My Opinion. It's actually for public consultations. In a month from now, we will do a major public consultation and ask our citizens, how do you want Belgium to look like in the near future? Politically, Belgium is very complex, so we will now open the question to the whole floor and ask people to give input. That's going to be a big one. And then finally, we need to secure. There's a lot of challenges hitting us, and probably also Kenya. We need to collaborate together on cybersecurity. We do that together with all the European countries, all together, because then we are much more stronger. And that's one of the diseases and big challenges for today. Finally, my minister, well, a politician is not by definition an expert in technology. So he has created what he calls the digital minds, which are key experts in the market from private sector, public sector, social networks or academic. And he eats his own dog food, so he has his own team to assist him in defining his political strategies. So that's in a nutshell what we have done and trying to realize and try to innovate in Belgium for public sector. So with that, I'm going to leave the floor to my colleague, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Frank Lehman. Thank you very much for that keynote. I don't know how much time Chris is going to take, but thank you. I'll appreciate. I know he's very conscious of time. Thank you. Chris, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I think I speak today for an audience mixed of some people stretching their legs, other people having their lunch. But welcome to my small speech. As you can see on the presentation, I'm part of Team Belgium, and I want to present to you a project that we've been doing for the last 10 years, which is called the Last Mile County Connectivity Project. So my name is Chris. My last name is almost impossible to pronounce for you. It's Verspecht. Yeah, and I've been part of Team Belgium, but I've also been living for 18 years in Kenya. So I'm also a little bit part of Team Kenya. 18 years, I mean, that means I'm married here locally. I have 2 kids. These kids are both Belgian nationals and Kenyan nationals. So I can easily compare the services I'm getting from Belgium as from Kenya. And sometimes I'm surprised. I must say, some services are going very smoothly, very digital, and having a lot of with the Belgian side. On the other hand, in Belgium, data and all the things are much more centralized. So it's very nice to be able to compare and to assist Kenya in developing more and more. Yeah. Wait, you can get back to the previous slide. Yeah. So first of all, the Last Mile County Connectivity Project is, in fact, infrastructure, ICT infrastructure for the government. So it's government-owned infrastructure. And that's very important because yesterday we talked about these public-private partnerships. And it's important that the government owns also some part of the infrastructure, not to be too dependent, and I don't want to offend the sponsors here today, but not to be too dependent of Safaricom, Liquid Telecom, all the big operators. Because the moment you're fully dependent of private partners, you also know what they will do to you. They will increase the prices, you don't have an option anymore. So that's the reason why the Belgian government is co-sponsoring this kind of investment for Kenya. And of course, we all know, when you bring in ICT, it will, at the end, help to become more efficient. Any process that you implement with ICT will become more efficient and more transparent. We all struggle with the fact that sometimes our files get lost, or sometimes a certain service is not getting to us unless we do something small, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So by being very transparent means that also any process that will be started by a citizen in Kenya will become transparent why it took so long, why it was rejected, or why did you get your not only 5 years after you applied for it. Yeah? And lastly, capacity building. Yeah, I think we're here in the Innovation Week. What we try to do as well is to do a lot of capacity building within the projects. The Belgian government will not just fund the project, just deliver something. They want us as a private company also to assist them to bring this knowledge transfer to Kenya. And my last slide will talk a lot about it, and especially focused on youth and innovation. So we can go to the next slide. So as usually in every country, they only think the country consists of capital. Yeah. So of course the first investment started in Nairobi, where the government decided to put a government common core network in place. That was done in 2006, 2008, where they started connecting all the ministries in Nairobi, and they're mainly centralized around Kenyatta Avenue, Kenyatta Avenue and Uhuru Avenue. So all these ministries are now connected through a fiber, which allows the ministries to exchange this information. And you saw Frank's presentation, it started from identity management. But if you don't have this basis that different ministries can communicate with each other, then you don't have the service bus, then you don't have any type of communication. So the first layer is indeed that the different ministries, their different servers, their different data is able to be exchanged. Yeah? So that was the first phase of investment, which was purely done by government of Kenya in around 2008, 2009. Then we went to, now we looked at, and I think this slide is very familiar to you. This is of course Kenya, yeah, and it's a very large country. In fact, I researched it. You're the 50th on the world list in size. But we also know that the main belt between, let's say, now Western Kenya and the coast is very populated, while the southern part and the northern part are not very populated. So we can, when the government of Kenya, together with some partners, develop now the fiber optic, the NOFI, the national fiber backbone. Of course, they concentrated mainly on the belt where it's very intensely populated, but they also went, because in the constitution you have to give to everybody equal service, they also concentrated, of course, to now bring fiber to these northern counties and southern counties. Yeah. So that's the fiber optic. That was done between roughly 2008 to 2018. Yeah. And then we came along as Belgians and we decided, like, okay, what can we do with this infrastructure that is in place, and how can we assist to improve now the efficiency of the services of the government. So we first of all integrated, because strangely enough, this NOFI fiber was not integrated with that common core in Nairobi. So first of all, we integrated both networks and made sure it became one network. On top of that, we started now in every county, and we are active in the 47 counties. In every county, we started connecting technically all kind of technical solutions for every building individually. We started connecting all the government offices that we were able to identify. Now, we can go to the next slide, please. Today, we have connected more than 40 different kind of NDAs, ministries, agencies, departments. Yeah, I'll see that. Yeah, and these people have now access through their offices, wherever they are in the 47 counties. They have access to basic telephony, basic internet, but also government applications which are there. Of course, the integrated financial management system, the integrated population register system, the civil registration departments, all kind of government applications are now also accessible from all these 800 regional offices in 47 counties. That was done over the last about 10 years, 2012, 2022, and we've not just kicked off with the Minister of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs. I still have to adopt myself a little bit. Yeah, we just kicked off another additional funding of 50 million euro to connect another 800 offices. So at the end of that phase, we'll be having over 800 offices in counties sub-counties or 1,600 offices throughout the whole Kenya. And that will, of course, improve a lot of service delivery. If now all these MDAs also come up with their own application, their own service kind of thing, so they will increase the efficiency. Now, we are here, of course, to think also about youth. Yeah? And one of the things SOCO, as then a private company, of course, in cooperation with the Belgian government, we invested a lot in youth. Yeah? One of the programs we've been doing, first of all, we hire regularly trainees, university trainees who spontaneously or just contact us because we're in lots of events. They contact us, we make a selection, and some of these trainees join us at the end as permanent employees. Yeah. Secondly, we've been participating in the DigiTalent program. Yeah, you know, the presidential digital talent program from ICT Authority. We've been participating there, especially in phase 1 and phase 2. We have trained and certified over 96 people in the products and the technologies that we've been using in the network. Yeah? Phase 3 and 4 of this cohort, I lost a little bit, but at least we want to continue that one. I saw Ita yesterday available, so we'll for sure continue that one. But what we also do, for example, we also build partnerships with Belgium Universities. There is a Belgian university, it's called the VUB, the Brussels University, who regularly does student visits. So they try to motivate students to link themselves up with companies, and then they do a visit to a country to do some kind of innovative work. And that's something I've been talking to ICT Authority a few times, that they should adopt such kind of program for Kenya, having Kenyan students linked up with private partners, private companies, who have business in certain countries. Can be Belgium, can be UK, can be any other country, but at least every year you can do a mission with around 20, 30 students who can then learn a lot, do innovative work, and learn from the other side as well. So that's our investment in youth. Now, lastly, when we do an investment from the Belgian government, we cannot, like I said, not only do just delivery and walk away. So there is a lot of training involved in getting these projects up and running and making sure that the ministry also takes ownership of that project. So, for example, in phase 1, 2, 3, we've been training roughly 240 or up to 1,000 training days per project. But we still felt, discussion with the ministry and with the Belgian government, that was not enough. So now in phase 4, we have agreed that we would train up to 660 training days. So that means one person, 660 days, or 10 people, 6 days in Belgium, they will be trained on ICT capacity. But that's of course in Belgium, so that means people have to travel, and that's quite expensive. But at the same time, we are setting up a program where we will have 11,000 training days in Kenya. And out of these 11,000, 5,000 will be for the youth. Because while we are doing this connectivity, we're also going to connect to youth affair buildings, so that in every county or sub-county that is connected, we would now have youth trained on ICT, application development, so where they can put their own effort and innovation in, so that we can improve this network. So roughly, that's an overview of the last mile county connectivity project, a project that has been going on now for almost 10 to 12 years, and which hopefully can continue for the next 10 years. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. I don't know, Frank, are you going back or that's it? It's done. Thank you very much. A round of applause for the two gentlemen who have done very elaborate presentations, definitely shedding a lot of light on what is going on. And you can actually agree that there's so much going on in the background that we probably don't even see with the normal way that we operate as Kenyans. So thank you very much, and thanks to both Frank and Chris for the keynote speeches. And now, without wasting so much time, I would like to call upon Ali Hussein, the chairman of Association of Fintechs in Kenya, to come and lead us in the next session, which is the panel discussion on Fintech for COVID-19. Thank you. Mr. Ali Hussein, will introduce his panel and proceed from there. And you can proceed and just use the microphone on the podium. Then the rest of the guests, I'd ask the team to bring the microphones. Kindly, technical team, I need microphones on the stage for the panel. And also, kindly keep the lady online on standby because she'll be joining us virtually.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Johnny karibu basi jamani. Johnny karibu Mkombani.
Naitwa Msonge karibu jamani. Ali anataka zungumze na nyinyi mkiwa karibu sana na yeye.
Kabisa. Ama mshakula biriani na pilau mwasinzia huko nyuma.
Achacha.
Great. We have an interesting panel today afternoon, and maybe it'd probably be best to just come up and we'll introduce them as we sit here. Can we have some speakers here? Some mics, rather? Guys, come up. Faith, Richard, Isaac, Juma. And I think we have someone from Addis who's going to log in. Where is Ziri? Are we able to get Kalkidat logged in? She should be online now. Is she online? Okay, please let's have her in. Great, thank you guys. Great. So today we are going to cover what we call emerging technologies. And what I would like to do first is introduce my panelists. Please let me know when Kalkidat. 1 minute. I give you 1 minute.
Ali, it's okay. I'll give you a heads up. You can just proceed.
They're speaking in sign language, so what I needed to do probably is go for sign language practice.
Yes, but I'll give you a heads up. Just proceed.
Okay, great. So language, let me know. Okay, so we are talking about emerging technologies, but what's first? I think what we forget more often than not is. Just about technology, but again, we talk to ourselves. We start talking stuff that most people don't understand. So maybe I want to ask, what do we understand with the word fintech? Anyone tell me what fintech means? Someone from the audience. What does fintech mean? You want to say something? Boss, can you give him a mic? Can we have somebody to pass on the mic there, please? What do we understand by fintech? Before I do an introduction and as we wait for Kalkidat to come online. Yes. Please say your name and what you understand by fintech.
My name is Samson Arita, and by fintech I understand it's financial technology and technology that deals with finances.
Can you give me an example of a fintech in Kenya, of a fintech product in Kenya? For example, Fuliza is a fintech product, of course. You had to say Fuliza. Of course, Fuliza is a fintech product. Isaac, I think you need to give that guy a corporate swag somewhere. Great. So I think we are going to kick off when calculator comes online. So I'm going to ask my panelists to introduce themselves, their names, the company, and initially their opening statements on this interesting topic. Let's start with Faith. Faith, over to you.
Thank you, Ali. Good afternoon, everyone. I was going to say good afternoon in Swahili, but I knew I'd embarrass myself. I'm Pwani. Kwa majina naitwa Faith Kata Kitonga, the Swahili is there. So I'm Faith Kata Kitonga. I work with Cellulant. Cellulant is a fintech as well. It's a fintech and payments company. Started off in Kenya 18 years ago. Probably, maybe I'll get an opportunity to share a bit later about the history of Cellulant. But we've been around for 18 years. We pride ourselves, I know Safaricom is on the panel, so they might say no, but we pride ourselves as being the first, the pioneers for digital banking and mobile banking in this country.
And I will support you on that.
So I'll give you a small story. The first time I heard about Cellulant, I was in banking. And I remember Cellulant coming, and no offense to the bankers, we just think a bit slower when we were banking. So Cellulant coming and telling us they could help us connect, the money in my bank wallet, with the bank. The money in my mobile wallet with the bank. And we were like, no, this is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. But to cut the long story short, that's where we started off as Cellulant, and we've grown over the years. Hopefully you'll get a chance to give more details. We're in 36 countries in Africa. We just opened up South Africa. So Kenya being the head office, but we're in 36 countries in Africa. And I hope that's hope for every entrepreneur in the room, because this is a Kenya-founded business, that you can think you could start in Kenya, and tomorrow you're in 36 countries in Africa. Well, we're supposed to say anything else? I think, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Faith. I will come here and then come back to you, Rita. Isaac?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Isaac Kashogo. I look after M-Pesa technology. So I work for Safaricom. I think we know fintech in Safaricom equals M-Pesa. So we are trying to break that and create more services. So the department I work in is now called financial services. So when I was asking about fintech, I believe M-Pesa, as people know it out there, is the biggest fintech now in Africa. I think Ali has more details on that. And this is just using technology to avail financial services to the greater population. So technology I see it as more of the underlying factor. The bigger benefit of a fintech being to avail financial services to the masses or to the greater community in the country. In terms of why I'm here, I think it's to talk about the new emerging technologies in fintech. I've been working with developers, so again, happy to be in an innovation forum. What Nkana is talking about, doing mobile banking and them being the first, I don't dispute Nkana, so we have partnerships. And we've availed those services by being more open. We are actually being more open than we were before. And we're encouraging everyone, all the fintechs in Kenya and beyond, to leverage the power of M-Pesa. And we also build new financial services, and then every part of the ecosystem, of the fintech ecosystem in Kenya, can become part of, including government and private sector. Thank you.
Isaac, thank you so much. I appreciate that introduction. We'll come back to you on specifics on the emerging technology. Now I want to go to my sister Rita. Rita, over to you.
Habari zenu.
Nzuri.
Swahili. So my name is Rita Kiki. Very new in fintech, unlike those who are talking about. Yes, but I've been in technology for the last 22 years, to be specific, maybe not fintech. I'm only 2 months in fintech, I think that's what I was telling Ali. I don't know what I was going to speak about. But I guess when it comes to technology, technology is the driving factor for everything. For all the girls who are here, you do not have to go to school to do technology. If you love technology, automatically you'll fall into it, be it in sales or any other platform. That's what I believe. So my first job actually was in Pwani, which was in 2000 actually, yes. So when I say 20 something years, that's how long I've worked. Anyway, that's where I am. How do I know? How did I come to it? So I really thought one innovation week. I came in as a head of operations for Imalipe. Imalipe is actually a 2-year-old fintech. Started in Nigeria, came into Kenya, actually by ex-cellular founders. Yes. And what we do, we actually power financial services for gig workers. When I talk about gig workers, we talk about ride-hailing companies. If you're an influencer, anybody who does not want to but is doing something about it. Bloggers, just name it. Anybody in the market who have an is a gig worker. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. I just want to check whether Kalkidat from Ethiopia, from Addis, is now online. Can you confirm that, or do we come back to you guys? Okay, thank you. So now I want to introduce Juma. Juma comes from an interesting company called Payland. Juma, over to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As Ali has said, my name is Eleutherius Juma. I am the CEO for Payland Africa, and I have a background in software engineering. So I've been in software engineering for 6 years now. Before we founded Payland with my co-founder about 2 years ago. So basically, Payland works closely with micro, small, and medium enterprises, where we look at how can we leverage on data and deliver financial services to this sector of the population. And how we do it basically is, just to give you a small analogy to understand the concept that you're trying to solve here as Payland. Growing up in our neighborhoods, there are these shops that serve our family. And you find that 10 years down the line, probably 15 years, 20 years, you go back to the same neighborhood, you'll find these shops still in the same state. Probably a change in generation maybe, where now we have another generation running the shop, but the inventory, the state of the shop is still the same. So Payland, we are trying to see how can we leverage on data and bring these shops into the digital space and be able to deliver financial services with much ease and efficiently to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juma. Now, I want to go into just one step further in terms of understanding what fintech is, just for everybody's general information. So, fintech is a big word. So within fintech, there is payments, right? What else is there apart from payments? Isaac? There's credit. There is credit. So there is lending. So there's payments. There's lending. Savings. Savings and investment. Who else wants to try out? What else is in fintech? And I want to commit Safaricom to give some swags here. I can see another Safaricom face here. You know me, I'm an equal opportunity offender. I just say it. And they will abide by what I say. Isaac, sumuko na swags kidogo tutapeana with some good answers. Anyone wants to try what else is included on fintech? What else? Hey jamani, mkula biriani mpaka. Who said yes? InsurTech. So you are close. InsurTech. Thank you. Takaful. My sister is advertising her company, which is good. If you get an opportunity, do it. I'm giving you guys an opportunity. I mean, Mahmoud has brought us all here together. So let us take that opportunity. So we have fintech. We have InsurTech. What else do we have? Where are the young guys? Yes, sir. Tell me. Huh? Crypto, blockchain. Asante, boss. You come and see me later. I know some of these words are not supposed to be talked in public in Kenya, but hey, you know, we have to talk. What else? What else, guys? Help? Speak up, I can't hear you. Grants. So grants is payments, it's part of payments. Crowdfunding is another one. Okay, so let's get back to my panel. And I want to come to Rita. What are the emerging technologies that you feel are super important? COVID, post-COVID, what we today call the new normal. What are we seeing of that?
So I'll take up what we're doing in Imalipe. So we offer what you're calling credit, but not necessarily credit. I was telling the rest of the panel earlier that we don't give money to our customers. We actually empower their gig, meaning we offer someone something called buy now, pay later. If you're here, maybe 2000 in the 2000s, there was something called hire purchase. So something similar to that, where you, depending on what you want to buy. So, for example, for riding new companies, what is their gig? They want things like smartphones, they want things like fuel. So we come and empower them. So we do not give them actually the products. So from our end, what we do as Imalipe, we actually work with what we call a one-stop shop, which are APIs. I know a lot of people maybe don't understand APIs. APIs is where I go to Cellulant and tell them, let's connect together. And actually, Cellulant is one of our partners when it comes to airtime. So instead of Imalipe going to look for airtime directly from Safaricom, we work with Cellulant, who will give us discounted airtime which we can sell to our clients. I go maybe to someone else, InsurTech, our lovely lady here. Insurance is quite expensive in Kenya for individuals. So what we do, we go buy it in bulk from her, and then we sell what we call report. Yes. So you pay slowly. So when it comes to KPI integration, yes, we work with Safaricom very closely on B2B. Yes, in Kenya actually you have to work with Safaricom when it comes to payments. We need that because of the back end of the payment and Cellular. Sorry, and Cellular. I have to be very careful. Yeah. So when it comes to payments, you also have to work with a lot of partners. So for us, we do not go directly to the customer. So our biggest technology as a company, and I know that is the same thing with Cellular, and the same thing with all these other partners, is actually API integration. So API meaning direct integration where you work with other partners. And I think it's part of the SPS partnership.
Thank you so much, Rita. So maybe to just add on to what Rita said, who has transacted from his or her bank account to M-Pesa and vice versa? I think most of us have done that, right? What powers that is what Rita said, APIs. Those connecting, those little things that connect one software to another. So we come to my brother Juma. Talk to us about the things that excite you about the emerging technologies and that are now affecting fintech now and going forward.
So, number one, one of the things that really excites me is blockchain to start with. And I think it's a very interesting topic to talk about, especially when we're talking about fintech, because I was speaking to someone the other day and I told him, imagine.
So maybe Juma, for the sake of all of us who may not understand what blockchain is, do you mind just breaking it down to the lowest common denominator so that we can all understand what a blockchain is?
So, number one, blockchain is a new technology. Probably it's about 12 years old. It was introduced in 2008 by a pseudo group of people or individual called Satoshi Nakamoto. And basically, what blockchain really means is having a technology where we have peer-to-peer connections. So by peer-to-peer connections, I mean we have, let's say for instance, we have Ali and we have Isaac, and we have as well. So if I want, for instance, to transact with a third party, what we are going to do is I'm going to tell Ali, hey, I'm transacting with customer X and I'm sending him 50 shillings. Then Isaac is going to verify and say, oh, yeah, Juma has sent 50 shillings, so I approve the transaction. And as well, Faith is going to say, yes, I have seen the transaction, I approve. So basically, this is what has been digitized. And every time we hear about blockchain, basically, it's a way that information is not mutable. By mutable, I mean you not change the information, and this information has to be verified by a number of parties so that it can be accepted within the network. So going back to my example that I was trying to drive home. Imagine back in 1998, if a country, let's say for instance like Kenya, would have exported all the web developers. If we had exported all the developers, where would we be in technology? And this applies to blockchain. This is a topic that's going to be discussed in Europe, in Asia, in the West. But what does this do to our workforce in terms of the blockchain developers that we need to build to be able to build new technologies in the next 5 years? If we shun them away, it means this skill set is going to be exported to Europe, to Western, to the Asian countries, but it's our mandate to put effort in ensuring that this skill is maintained and is contained within our country. So why blockchain excites me is how we can leverage on blockchain in the fintech space. Number one, transactions will be secure. Number two, with blockchain, we'll go to see transaction costs being brought down to almost free. For instance, if you look at transacting on, so there are different protocols on the blockchain, and looking at an example like Cardano, if I was to send 100 shillings to my good friend Ali, probably it would cost me 0.0001 shillings.
I don't accept anything below 1,000.
I didn't say shillings.
Okay, you got me there.
Yeah, so basically, it's a conversation that had not yet to be left out, given the fact that I am in the fintech space. So I really do research. I really follow up with what's trending within the blockchain space, so that when the time is right, then we can also tap into the blockchain ecosystem as Paylet.
Thank you so much, Juma. I think that is such an important conversation. Let me just give you guys some numbers for you to just mull over. Worldwide, remittances, peer-to-peer remittances, me sending money to my brother, me sending money to my sister, me sending money to my kids, to my wife, you're talking about $600 billion worldwide. This is just peer-to-peer transactions, not business to business. And when it comes to remittances, the corridor into Africa, so you're talking about the US into Africa, Middle East into Africa, is the most expensive when it comes to transaction costs. In some cases, it goes up to 12%. So if you're sending 100 shillings, in some corridors, that cost of sending that 100 shillings reaches 12 shillings. And my colleagues here can tell me I shouldn't be smoking what I was smoking today morning if I'm wrong. I'm happy to have that discussion. And technologies like blockchain are going to completely change that cost structure, and it's already starting to happen. So I think, Juma, that's a very, very important conversation to have. My sister Faith, what keeps you awake every day, every night when it comes to new technologies?
where are you guys going? As Faith, as Cellulant, where do you see the opportunities to serve the African people better and to make money? I'm a firm believer in doing well by doing good. I don't know whether you guys understand that. You can do good by doing well. Over to you.
Thank you, Ali. Maybe I'll start by giving an interesting story. So when COVID, the pandemic hit the world over, we expected for things to go really down, you know. But one of the interesting things we saw within Cellulant is that our revenue went up. And I'll give you the explanation why. So you can imagine how the world was before. Let me give a bit of background. How many of us remember when we used to send money in packages in a bus to like shags and things like that? As I expose my age. Yeah? Okay, just 2 people in the room. Wow. I'm not sure I'm in the right circle, but I'll continue. Yeah? And so, of course, we've seen how, you know, payments and the whole fintech scope has advanced from that time to when we saw ATMs, you know, and just banks advancing in different ways. So when the pandemic hit, you know, companies that were not already digitized, of course, suffered a quick hit and had to move quickly. So we take care of a lot of airlines and a lot of merchants, and maybe I'll give a bit of detail later. And so, of course, when airlines were shut down, our revenue got hit a little bit. But what we saw is that for the other industries, the number of transactions increased. We saw almost, I'd say, 40% increase from 2020 in terms of number of transactions and other metrics we check like GPV. And so what keeps me awake at night, Ali, to answer your first question, is how to is that the market changes a little bit, but the needs are the same. In this day and age, despite M-Pesa, those are some of the things that keep me awake. Partnerships, as the final one, I think keeps me awake. How to make sure we can get the most out of these partners. And thirdly, because I'm previously a banker, I sleep, wake up, helping banks wake up. You know, I spend a lot of my time with various bank leadership and all that and telling them, guys, partner with us so we get to the next level. And I think it has to be the tomorrow.
for any banker listening. Yeah, so I'd say those three things.
Thank you so much, Rita. I like the fact that we are bringing it home instead of just talking about abstracts. We are telling stories in terms of how emerging technologies can actually help. And one of my favorite terms is whatever we do in our offices, we must remember one thing. We took our ground in difference. We think all these, but then you have to go on the ground to understand what are the needs of the people. Now, I think it's opportune for me to ask Isaac from Safaricom. What are the emerging technologies you guys are looking at right now? I know that my friend, I forget him, who's now in charge of the new things you guys are looking at.
Ali, I bet.
M-Pesa can do beyond, what Safaricom can do beyond M-Pesa. Would you like to talk to us about it, or have I let the cat out of the bag?
No problem. So yes, so I think when you think about Safaricom, and I try, as you are saying, we can talk about very many complex technologies, but it's so sure the needs that actually the problem it's solving, and to make sense to the customers, and that you add value, even as you talk about fintech. So I think you were talking about my colleague Andrew Masila.
Yes,
So Andrew is very passionate about 5G network. He was here yesterday. He's been in this session
to talk to young people, the innovation hubs, and even schools working with our women in technology team. To just, Donna is here, to just look at what we can do as Safaricom to digest that complex technology. When we talk about 5G, in a country where we still have a lot of millions of customers who are still using the 2G, or what we call kababe phones, they don't care about 5G until they can see
solving for them. And I think the success that we've had with M-Pesa is because it's been inclusive. It's not cutting out some section of the customer base. Whether you have a feature phone or the latest iPhone that one is using, you access M-Pesa almost the same way. But what excites me about the stage we are in today, combining IoT or Internet of Things, and this is where we've talked about, systems communicating to other systems, and bank money moving from bank to M-Pesa and vice versa. We are now starting to look at
other devices. The fridge that you have at home, talking to the fridge in the supermarket to notify that milk is running out. And behind all those things, you make an order to that fridge in the supermarket. And milk is delivered and payments is completed using M-Pesa. So this is how close we are to Internet of Things. And this is where you connect a lot of devices. 5G network comes in handy because you need very fast network to connect all those things and to make them real time. And using our cloud services, again, we've seen a lot of cloud partners, support tables, young developers, as you start off your career. I had a question in the morning. There are people without computers. How do they access these technologies? When I started early when I was in campus, and we were doing that gig economy thing, we were doing we built a cyber cafe software, just to help people in cyber cafes do billing. Today, when I try to explain to my son what a cyber cafe is, he cannot relate. The same way he doesn't see M-Pesa as a new innovation because he's grown up knowing M-Pesa is there to send money. So we are talking about a completely new generation of people who are now innovating. To them, M-Pesa is nothing big. They hear it and they've seen it. It's no longer anything exciting. So we are looking at that thing beyond M-Pesa. And for us, it's opening the ecosystem. So I don't know how many of you have the M-Pesa app. Not my Safaricom app. We have M-Pesa app, and we are trying to build a live around things. And what we are pushing for is opening that platform so that any person who has a financial service, especially, or any other service that adds value to our customer base, develop your app in a web technology, deploy it on our app that is now downloaded by more than 5 million customers, and immediately you start accessing your customers out there, 5 million customers plus in a day.
Thank you, Isaac. I think I'll charge him advertising costs just now for that, but he's allowed. So let's go to my sister in Addis. She here? Kalkidat, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, we are really sorry for the delay, but thank you for waiting for us. So let's hear a little bit about who you are, and then go straight into what excites you about emerging technologies in the fintech space. You are talking to us from Addis, right? Great. We are happy to see that the connectivity there has improved tremendously. Please proceed.
Indeed. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kalita, and I'm the co-founder and the general manager of Fintech Technology, which is a company based here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I'm also a proud advisory board member at Pwani. I'm really delighted to join you all virtually and share a little bit about so thank you so much for having me. And I have heard that you all having a wonderful week. I'm sorry that I can't go to you, but I trust that you're all learning. So, in case you have not heard about Ethiopia, country north of Kenya, which is also Africa's second most populous country, with a population of about 110 million. A lot of people are very surprised to hear those numbers. We're second to Nigeria, obviously. However, we have one of the lowest penetration rates of here in Ethiopia. According to a report that was done by the National Bank of Ethiopia, I'll keep referencing the National Bank of Ethiopia. They are the regulator here in the market. They're the equivalent of Central Bank of Kenya. So National Bank of Ethiopia did a study a couple of years ago on the data, and here when I talk about fintech, it's more about the number of bank account owners, and we found that only 35% of the population have a bank account, and of these people, or of these bank accounts in the presence of bank branches, 40% of them are located here in the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. A little bit more statistics that I think is very important, is pertinent to the discussion, is also looking at some of the mobile phone data penetration. We have one with 58.7 million subscribers. And in terms of data and internet users, we have 23.4 million of them. Which
out
is,
of what total population? 110. Okay.
So, when we come back to National Bank of Ethiopia, about 5 years ago, they ratified the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which was a strategy, of course, to get more folks onboarded and included in the financial sector. And then about 2 years ago, to complement this strategy, another one called the National Digital Payment Strategy, 2021 to 2024 was established. And this strategy had 4 main pillars, right? So one of them is developing a reliable, inclusive, interoperable infrastructure. The second one is championing digital payments. The third one is consistent regulatory and oversight framework. And the fourth one is an enabling environment for innovation. So these 4 pillars are very key because as we stand in March of 2022, these are the 4 areas that we really lag compared to our neighbors and just as a country. One of the significant impediments that I would be remiss to mention that affects our financial inclusion in Ethiopia and some of the gaps that we see, obviously, In some of the research that is on the National Bank of Ethiopia's website, you know, there's about a 12% gender gap. And there's a lot of studies that have been done by the World Bank and the IFC on different methods to address when we look at traditionally, and I always say this to my colleagues and to people that I work with, is a lot of times, you know, policy is pushed by the businesses. So it's those of us here who need to develop certain use cases, who push policy. And if some of you saw last week, Safaricom Ethiopia, which is soon going to be our second telecom player here in Ethiopia, took the National Bank of Ethiopia on a knowledge-based visit to Kenya and Tanzania to gain insights on mobile money operations and regulation. I'm sure a lot of you people may have seen that traction on LinkedIn and on Twitter. It was very exciting because I think it's very important for the regulator to really understand real-life use cases, to see real-life solutions in apart from Kenya markets, in border from Tanzania markets, on solutions that go beyond P2P transactions, such as microcredit, micro savings, insurance, international remittance, and just to see how this is literally changing this country. So I was very excited about that because sometimes, you know, we push, we try to engage parts of the Fintech Association of Ethiopia, and, you know, we're always in very many ways, you know, getting together and trying to lobby, but sometimes it just takes going to very similar markets as ours to see, to understand the opportunity that it is for Ethiopia. One of the questions is that you had asked me to talk about.
Yes.
Fintech, financial services.
I'm giving you 2 more minutes.
You're giving me 2 more minutes. Okay, let me get to the key aspect. Let me go to the road ahead. About 9 months ago, Ethio Telecom introduced a mobile wallet that we have all been using. It's called Tim. And just yesterday, actually, which was very pertinent for this discussion, they gave us statistics that 9 months later, there are 16.8 million subscribers, which is fantastic for a country like Ethiopia. In these 9 months, there's about 31.4 million transactions, number of transactions, amounting to $97 billion US. A lot of those transactions were, again, for things like airtime transactions, for international renting, for cash in, cash out, and so on and so forth. So there definitely, when we look at the road ahead, we just stated that there definitely needs to be a way to embrace use cases, right? To bring it down to the population and to look beyond Addis Ababa, because this is, again, the second most populous country, and to look at what are things that the country, the average, you know, agriculture is a huge sector here. How can we provide useful services? About a month ago, Telebird introduced payment of traffic tickets via Telebird, and I got a call from my mother who said, "Hey, how'd you download this?" For me, that was very personal. I got a call from one of our drivers asking me the same. However, the driver said, even if you downloaded the Telebird app for me, I still have to go to the bank and make this payment. And I said, why? This is the easiest thing. And he said, no. The traffic officer will not accept a text message. And that was very interesting because another challenge or opportunity, let me just say, is on financial literacy. We have to have a holistic approach. So when we're looking at the customer side, we also have to look at all the users as a whole, right? So the traffic police, whoever is at the receiving end, the public has to have confidence that once they pay using these different individual mobile wallets that are coming, they will come. And one last thing that the government of Ethiopia wants, which obviously is crucial to the growth of Fintech in Ethiopia, is national ID, national digital ID. Up to this point, we have not had digital ID, but the national ID program is currently on pilot, and so we're very excited about that. Coupled with the national digital payment strategy that I mentioned earlier, which will definitely help Ethiopia meet some of the challenges to transform this payment ecosystem.
Thank you, Confidence. Thank you so much for those insights about Ethiopia. I know we are running out of time, so I'm going to use the remaining time. How many more minutes do we have? 10, 15? How many more minutes do we have? 10, 15? 10. Okay, so what I want to do now is give you guys an opportunity to talk to us so that we are not just talking to ourselves on the podium. Anyone has an issue, anyone has a question, anyone has a comment, this is your time. Yes, please stand up, tell us your name. Three questions or comments, and then I'll come back to my panelists. Your name and where you come from.
My name is Jama. I'm from Nairobi. So my question is about financial inclusion in more remote areas. I know you're talking about technology, you're talking about Internet of Things, but we have places where we come from where internet has not reached. They need to be financially included. Are we looking to go back home and connect them, and how?
That is such an important question. And short of having a regulator here, I'm going to ask Isaac to answer that. He's the closest. He's the closest to answer your question. And I will help Isaac on that. So, Isaac, that question is for you. That is a brilliant question. Thank you so much. Who? Yes, sir. Please, your name and where you come from.
Hi, I'm Chris. Hi, I'm Chris. I do write code for software. So we like use fintech services on a daily basis when we create softwares and solutions like that. And one of the greatest challenges the easiest thing to integrate, let's say, an e-commerce or a platform for purchasing service X or product Y, we will definitely opt for using M-Pesa. So that's in for Daraja API, right? But again, as the developer side, if you are new into this, when you go into the developer platform for Safaricom APIs, it's not an easy thing for new developers. So they will struggle trying to find a way to make it easier. So they'll opt in for other financial services. So say something like Flutterwave, which have an easier documentation. Even on Cellulant, the documentation is not that easy. Also, you have like a lot of documentations for someone to use to integrate on a platform. So we opt in for other services like Flutterwave, which they have made it very easy for us to use. And mind you, this is a Nigerian company, you see. So it's coming in Kenya and giving us simpler services that our Kenyan companies are offer. So for us to use M-Pesa, we have to use a company from outside Kenya for us to get access to it. So how are you looking into that?
We took a ground, need different. And it's not Ali who's saying it. Please, see Ali. I'm going to take a last question, but that question again is to Safaricom and Cellulant. I'll give Cellulant an opportunity to address that question because these are the big fintechs. They're in 36 countries, including Safaricom. So, guys, we have our work cut out for us. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mulki Muhammad. Just completed my high school recently. My question is, how do you help like scholarship for students who just finished their high school and they want to continue, but they cannot continue? They have good grade, yeah. They cannot continue because of financial problem.
See that lady there? Go sit next to her. Go sit next to her. Sahi, usichelewe. You want to say something? You have a question? All right.
Hi, my name is Donna. Kalkidan, this is for you. According to the statistics of adoption for Telebir, might you be having the breakdown for per gender and per age group of how the adoption has been so far?
Great. So we have 3 questions. Let me ask Kalkidan to answer that. But Kalkidan, in 2 minutes, please, because we're running out of time. I can see the MC looking at me with the aga eyes. Kalkidan, that question is for you.
Unfortunately, we don't have that data. There's a lot of data that we don't have.
Okay.
We'll be engaging with them, and I'll be happy to share this with the team once we get that.
Great. So Kalkidan is part of the secretariat organizing this. So if you speak with Mahmoud, where's Mahmoud? By the way, Mahmoud, I just need to give Mahmoud a heads up. Really fantastic work that him and his team has done. We must congratulate him, really. So you'll touch base with Mahmoud on that. So guys, which of the tougher questions do you first want to answer? Who wants to go first? Financial inclusion. That lady, my sister, my younger sister, has really spoken well on that. Yeah.
So thank you for the question on financial inclusion. I think, yes, we know 11% of Kenyans today are financially excluded completely. They don't have access to financial services. The hope I see in that is just before M-Pesa started in 2007, the statistics as at 2006 was that Kenya had only 27, just below 27% financial inclusion. So if you look at the number that was excluded completely, that was just about 41%. So that number has reduced from 27 included to about 83% now financially included, which means they have access to financial services, most of them being mobile financial services, thanks to M-Pesa and the partnerships we have. And then the number of financially excluded has reduced from 41% to 11%. So 11% of 50 million or thereabout is still a big population, and we are very cognizant of that. So what are we doing about it as Safaricom? One is to continue extending the reach of our GSM, so Safaricom network, because if you don't have the mobile telephony services, then you still can't access M-Pesa, even using the cheapest device. We're also then going to say, even if you have the connectivity and you don't have that device, then you still have a problem. But we don't want to give you that, feature phone, the Kabambe. We are working on the smarter devices, the entry-level smarter devices, which is what we have as Lipa Mdogo Mdogo. Then it enables you to now start benefiting from the smarter ways of transacting, and you can access the likes of M-Pesa app, My Safaricom app, and other services. So I think it's just by collaborating with government and the regulators and us as Safaricom and many partners that we work with to extend the services that we offer and the backbone of offering those services to the people who today are excluded. So we are getting there.
Great. So let me just add on to what my brother Isaac has said. There's this organization called the Communications Authority that has the mandate to ensure that every Kenyan has access to connectivity. And they have this fund called the Universal Service Fund. So there's a lot of work going on there. But again, I think the fact of the matter, which Isaac has said, is no matter how much we try, there's still a lot more to be done. So what I would suggest is you get in touch with other organizations that are tracking some of this work that is being done to ensure that no Kenyan is left behind. Not just mobile money and banking services, but just also connectivity. So we can have a conversation after that, and I'll tell you how we can help you, not just in your region, but in other regions. Okay? Great. So we now come to what my brother has said. I am one of the biggest proponents and also critic of some of our services. But one thing I can tell you, Chris, before I let my sister Faith talk about that, is there's also a lot of work being done. You mentioned that. Sorry, who's that?
No, you can just proceed. They're trying to link up the PS who will wind up the session. Thank you.
So what I can tell you is that products like Daraja, they are work in progress. And it's feedback like that that will make these products get better and better. So I would urge you to seek out Isaac at the end of this and, talk one-on-one. But Faith, over to you.
No,
and then we wrap it up.
No, I think it's a courageous question, and I'm glad you asked it. So first, feedback taken. Secondly, one of the reasons why we are here today, I came with my colleague, and we've been doing meetings with developers all morning. So we would love to meet you if you're I'm guessing from question one. So we'd love to meet you because what we're trying to do is build a cellular developer community. So your feedback is fantastic. And we'd even mentioned to Mohamud that that's what we wanted to do today. So she's seeing you. So we'll look for you right after this to Prudence. Maybe raise, he's asking who. Yeah, so we'd love to meet you after this. The other thing we're doing, which we'll loop you in on, is something called Playgrounds, where we're bringing in developers, some of our customers as well. Like Ali said, vitu kwa ground is different. So we want to meet these people on the ground and understand what their pains are, have them play around with our new products before they go out. So again, we would love to hear your input, even on our playground, and invite you for that. But thank you for the question.
Thank you, guys. We are now coming to our end of our panel. I want to thank everyone for the participation, for the time that you've taken with us. I want to thank my panelists, not forgetting my sister from Addis, Kalkidat. Kalkidat, thank you so much. And Asante Sana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Ali Hussein for a brilliant job and actually keeping the session very lively. So I'd like you guys to stay put as